Divine Revelation, 3 miraculous blessings await you today. Confirmed prophetic message from God. In the heart of a quaint English village, surrounded by rolling hills and the sweet sound of church bells, there lived a woman named Sarah. Known for her unwavering faith, she was a light for many, leading heartfelt prayers at the local chapel, always kneeling before the radiant image of Saint Michael, her beloved patron saint. The village was filled with warmth and love, but that love faced a storm when Sarah's young son, Thomas, fell gravely ill. The doctors, offering little assurance, turned her world upside down. Each day felt like a suffocating weight. Despair began to claw at her heart, threatening to extinguish her faith, but even in the dark, the flickering candlelight within the chapel felt alive. In this sacred space, generations before her had whispered their hopes to the heavens. In her moment of vulnerability, she gathered her friends and family, forming a prayer circle steeped in devotion. Their voices intertwined like a melody, layering the air with divine pleas for mercy. Saint Michael, guide us. Sarah's fervent cries mingled with the thunder rumbling outside, creating a powerful symphony of faith. As a storm raged one fateful night, enveloping the village in darkness, Sarah found solace in a divine dream. She was transported to a realm shimmering with heavenly light. 3 miraculous blessings, she felt, were gifted to her by God, not just for her but for the entire village. A new dawn of faith was dawning. With heightened excitement and the joyous beat of her heart echoing in her ears, she woke, compelled to share her message. Miracles await us, she declared tremblingly at the chapel the following day. God has revealed 3 blessings that will heal my Thomas and restore our faith. But skepticism shadowed her revelation. The village doctor, grounded in science, shook his head in disbelief, dismissing her words as mere fantasy. Quiet whispers made their rounds, piercing her heart like icy spears. Doubt began to weave through the community, overshadowing the love that had once reigned. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Charged with fervent determination, Sarah knelt at her bedside each night, her prayers spiraling upward like the incense that filled the chapel. Lord, please heal my son, she whispered, her tears pooling on the wooden floor. Miraculously, one morning, as the sun peeked through the rain-swept clouds, Thomas stirred awake, his fever broken and vitality restored. The village stood in awe, witnessing the miracle unfold before their widened eyes. Disbelief turned to whispers of wonder, but lingering questions filled the air. What were the 3 blessings Sarah had been told of? Was this miracle a symbol of greater things, or just a brief glimmer of hope? The dawn of a new chapter shimmered like sunlight piercing through the darkest clouds, and as Sarah stood in the chapel, poised between doubt and belief, she gazed upward, heart racing, yearning for the divine revelation still yet to come. In the days following Thomas's miraculous recovery, the atmosphere in the village shifted. Excitement hung in the air like the fragrance of blooming flowers. Sarah's heart swelled with hope as she stepped into the chapel each morning, her spirit ignited by the promise of divine blessings. Yet still, the questions lingered, casting long shadows over the warmth of the village. 3 blessings, Sarah murmured during her quiet moments, her thoughts turning like the pages of a sacred text. What wondrous gifts did God have in store for her community? Was it merely the healing of Thomas, or something more profound? Each prayer she offered was a step closer to the answers she so deeply sought. As she continued to rally her fellow villagers, Sarah felt the weight of their skepticism and hope collide. They gathered in the chapel on Sunday, not just to worship but to hear the words of a woman they revered. Hope and doubt coexisted in that sacred place, their blend palpable, like the morning mist rising from the fields. Today, let us open our hearts. Sarah beckoned, the sun filtering through stained glass, illuminating her like a divine beacon. Her voice resonated, filled with the conviction of her experience. The Lord has moved. He has shown me that we are not just witnesses to a single miracle but participants in a greater plan. The congregation responded with murmurs of curiosity. Some were eager to believe, clinging to their faith, while others remained skeptical, their hearts locked in trepidation. In the quiet corners of the chapel, Sarah could hear whispers, a mix of encouragement and doubt. But the voice of Deacon John brought all eyes to him. "Sarah, what do you see? What are the three blessings?" His voice was steady, filled with an authority that commanded respect. Sarah inhaled deeply, summoning the essence of her dream. "In my vision, I saw a new spirit of unity encircle our village, love binding us closer than ever. Secondly, I saw a fountain of healing, where not just bodies were restored, but hearts and souls were renewed. And thirdly, I felt the winds of hope blowing through our lands, bringing forth a revival of faith." A ripple of awe coursed through the congregation. A few faces softened with understanding, while others remained cautiously skeptical, grappling with their disbelief. As whispers spread through the chapel like wildfire, the air crackled with anticipation. Each individual felt the tug in their spirit, an invitation from God to brace themselves for transformation. Sarah stood uplifted by their energy, eager to embrace her divine purpose. "Let us prepare ourselves," she urged, her hands raised in fervent hope. "We must open our hearts to receive these blessings. Pray with me, for it starts here and now." The congregation joined in prayer, their voices an undulating chorus of devotion. In those moments, hearts began to shift. Sarah sensed a stirring, a gentle breeze against her skin, and the weight of doubt slowly began to lift, yet, just as hope burgeoned, fears bubbled back to the surface. Could such blessings truly manifest for them? And what might their lives look like transformed? As the prayers echoed through the sanctuary, Sarah's eyes glanced around at the familiar faces, now illuminated by faith. But with the rising tension came the realization that for every ascent into faith, the specter of doubt awaited its moment to challenge the collective hope. Little did they know, the village was about to be tested further than they could imagine, preparing them for the next wave of revelations. What trials lay ahead would determine if their unity could weather the storms, and if Sarah's prophetic vision could bring forth the miracles promised. As the last "Amen" resonated through the chapel, a stillness fell upon the congregation. They could feel, deep within, that this was only the beginning. Could the miraculous blessings truly manifest, intruding into their reality once more? In the days that followed the fervent prayer in the chapel, the air hung heavy with expectation. Each dawn brought Sarah to her knees, seeking guidance, her heart aflame with anticipation. The villagers too, despite lingering doubts, could feel something shifting within them. It was as if the very earth beneath their feet was preparing to unveil God's plans. "Is it truly coming?" murmured Hannah, a young mother. "Can we really expect the blessings that Sarah spoke of?" Her voice trembled with a blend of excitement and anxiety. "I believe," answered Thomas, who had recently regained his strength. "We need only to believe. I felt it in my bones during that prayer." He looked around, catching the eyes of those still unsure. "It's time we let faith guide us." As the week rolled on, changes began to manifest in small, surprising ways. Neighbors who had long avoided each other, wary of past grievances, began to share smiles and greetings. Groups formed in the town square, where laughter sounded louder, and conversations turned from whispers of doubts to tales of hope and dreams. It was as if a new wind had swept through, whispering promises of healing and unity, yet amidst the blossoming joy, shadows remained. The village elder, old Eli, walked with a heavy heart, a storm brewing in his thoughts. "Miracles, my friends," he warned during a council meeting, his voice gravelly with age. "Miracles often come dressed in trials. Prepare your hearts for what may test your faith." The room fell silent, each face knitting into deep contemplation. Wasn't faith itself a journey forged by challenges? Sarah's spirit flickered, a spark of resolve ignited. Let us not shy away from trials but face them as one, united, hand in hand. She encouraged passionately. Her words sparked fierce nods around the room. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the village in hues of gold and crimson, the night brought with it an unexpected blessing. A gentle rain began to fall, nurturing the parched soil. Laughter erupted as children danced in puddles, celebrating the refreshment. With each drop that fell, Sarah sensed that this rain held more than just nourishment. It was God speaking, a gentle reminder of his promises. "Look, the heavens respond," she cried, raising her arms in joyous surrender. Still, in the depth of her heart, she felt a tug. What trials were lurking just beyond the horizon? Days turned into nights, and the inevitable test arrived one crisp evening. A thick fog curled through the village, coating everything in shadowy uncertainty. Whispers of discontent began to flow amongst the villagers. "What does this mean?" they questioned fearfully. "Perhaps we were wrong to hope." It was at this moment of confusion that Sarah felt a divine calling to gather them once more. "Join me at the chapel tonight," she implored. "Let us confront this fog of doubt together. Let us seek the blessings among us." As night fell, the chapel emerged as a beacon in the thick mist, drawing in villagers who struggled against the rising tide of fear. With each flicker of the candle flames, shadows danced across their faces, reflecting both hesitation and determination. "Tonight, we will pray for guidance," Sarah declared, her voice steady as iron. "We will ask for clarity amidst confusion, strength in uncertainty." The congregation, clasping hands, formed an unbroken chain of faith. As they bowed their heads, Sarah felt a warmth envelop her. Together they prayed intensely, fervently calling upon the heavens, inviting the divine into their midst. It was a powerful moment, filled with palpable hope, fear, and an almost electric anticipation. Just as the prayer crescendoed, a loud crash echoed outside, pulling them from their reverie. Gasps filled the chapel as they turned towards the door. What awaited them beyond the threshold? Was it a sign of blessing, or was it the darkness that Eli had warned about? As the rustling continued outside, each soul in the chapel held their breath, the weight of uncertainty heavy in the air. They stood on the precipice of revelation, awaiting fate's next turn, as the night thickened with mystery. What awaited them beyond the chapel doors could change everything. The silence enveloped the chapel like a heavy blanket, weighing on the hearts of those gathered. Shadows flickered ominously as the rustling outside grew louder, echoing through the hushed air. Sarah, feeling the tension spiral among her friends and neighbors, stepped forward, her heart racing but her resolve steeled by faith. "Do not fear," she called out, striving to bring calm to the storm of anxiety. "God is with us." This sounded may be a test, but it could also be a sign of his presence. The eyes of the villagers widened, uncertainty battling hope. They turned toward Sarah, seeking a glimpse of the courage she promised. "Let us believe for the best," Thomas urged, echoing Sarah's sentiment. "Whatever comes, we will face it together." Just then, another crash sounded, as if something had fallen heavily against the chapel door. Gasps of shock rippled through the congregation, and Sarah's heart thudded loudly in her chest. She felt compelled to move closer to the door, the energy of the group urging her forward. "Let us see what God has for us," she declared. Firmly, she grasped the handle of the door and, with a deep breath, pushed it open. The sight that greeted them was astounding. Beyond the threshold lay a gathering of villagers, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of lantern light. They carried baskets brimming with fresh produce: peppers, tomatoes, herbs, gifts from their gardens. Each basket was a testimony of abundance, a vivid expression of love and community that flourished amidst the unsettling fog. "Surprise!" they cried in unison, laughter bubbling around them like the gentle rain from days before. Sarah felt tears prick her eyes at the unexpected gesture. It was a moment of divine revelation. The blessings they had long prayed for were present among them, not only in bountiful harvests but in the unity of hearts. The anxiety that had momentarily gripped the chapel began to dissolve. "God has moved our hearts," one villager exclaimed. "In the dark of night, we remembered the promise shared by our Sarah. how can we not share our gifts? This moment of unexpected joy, born from fear and doubt, sparked a profound transformation in everyone present. Sarah saw hands clasped together in prayer, not as a plea for help but as a celebration of gifts bestowed upon them. As they embraced one another and shared the bounty, laughter replaced worry and joy flowed freely. Yet as the night deepened, Sarah sensed a flicker of urgency in the air, a feeling that this was but the beginning. What of the trials Eli warned us about? Hannah whispered, her voice soaked in mixed emotions. What challenges could come now that hope has been reignited? An undercurrent of unease threatened to dim the brightness around them. Sarah knew that as they celebrated, they must remain vigilant, keeping the light of faith alive amidst possible trials. Nevertheless, her heart swelled with gratitude. They were no longer isolated, the walls that once divided them crumbled. Their faith had manifested in rich blessings, breathing new life into the village. But as she looked to the gathering stars above, she felt a whisper of something deeper, a call to provoke even greater faith. The question danced in her mind, what greater revelation awaited them just beyond the blessings? The night pulsed with divine possibility, and in that uncertainty, she sensed they were on the brink of something monumental. What would unfold next as they dwindled in joy, gathering strength? The horizon glimmered with hope and revelation. As the villagers basked in their newfound joy, the vibrant atmosphere wrapped around them like a warm embrace. Laughter mingled with the sound of soft praises whispered upward, drawing more people from the village into the chapel's welcoming space. The night hummed with a shared heartbeat, an undeniable rhythm of unity that shattered the earlier fear. Sarah felt the joy engulf her but also sensed a holy stillness deep beneath the surface. It filled her spirit with a gentle anticipation, but she couldn't shake the feeling of urgency that lingered. "Look!" shouted a voice from the back, breaking the harmonious laughter that filled the air. An older man, Jeremiah, was struggling through the door carrying a much larger basket, one overflowing with dark, shiny apples. "I nearly stumbled trying to balance this treasure. But the Lord put it on my heart to share." Cheers erupted, and the congregation rushed to help him, anxious to see what other provisions might unfold. These little acts magnified their faith, like the way a small fire catches and grows into a mighty blaze. It didn't just fill their stomachs but ignited something deeper, a forgotten hope in their souls. "Perhaps we should dedicate these gifts," Thomas suggested, his face glowing with enthusiasm. "A moment of thanks to the Lord for his providence." The crowd murmured their agreement, and Sarah felt a wave of warmth wash over her, knowing they would honor God in this moment. As they gathered in a circle, hands intertwined, hearts aligned, Sarah led a heartfelt prayer. "Lord, we thank you for these gifts. For the abundance of love and provision among us. May we remain vigilant and faithful. We open ourselves to whatever is to come." Her voice trembled slightly, as the intensity of the moment washed over her. They closed their eyes, basking in the peace that poured into them like the light from the lanterns, but just as they bowed their heads in reverence, an unexpected sound broke through. The distant roar of thunder echoed ominously across the hills. A deep rumbling built in the ground beneath them, shaking the chapel ever so slightly. It was a stark reminder that while joy had enveloped them, the storms of challenge still loomed in the distance. "What is that?" questioned Hannah, voice quavering slightly. The energy in the chapel shifted as unease rippled through the group. "Perhaps it is a sign," Jeremiah said, his eyes brightening as if revelation dawned before him. The crowd turned toward him, seeking his wisdom, yet he continued. "The Lord often uses storms to reveal his greatest works." In that moment, the wisdom echoed through Sarah's spirit as well. She reflected on how God had brought them here, through the darkness that had initially enveloped their hearts. Was it possible that this storm, too, was part of a greater plan? Faith isn't about the absence of storms but trusting in God's promise through them, she declared, emboldened by the Spirit's stirring within her. As they remained united in prayer, the thunder continued to rumble, yet, their hearts were steadied, safe in the arms of the One who guided their steps. The storm outside appeared less daunting now, even as it drew nearer, and then, as if in a response to their unwavering faith, the lanterns flickered brightly, illuminating the faces of the villagers with heavenly light. Just then, Sarah's gaze caught a glimpse of something new. A brilliant star streaked across the night sky above them, brightening the darkness and leaving a lingering trail of hope. What was that? Someone gasped, or written across their brows. I believe, Sarah started, her heart racing with anticipation. I believe God is about to reveal something great to us. We must prepare. Hope surged through the group once more, pregnant with possibility. As the storm approached, their collective faith only grew, ready to embrace whatever was next. But what greater mysteries awaited them in the shadows of the unseen? What transformative revelation lay just beyond the horizon of their faith? The air was thick with anticipation as the lingering glow of the star faded into the night, leaving whispers and wide-eyed wonder in its wake. Sarah felt it in her bones, a magnetic pull, as if the very heavens were inviting them to step further into faith. The storm lingered outside, its presence weaving a tapestry of uncertainty and challenge that hung over the villagers. Yet within the chapel, the warmth of hope wrapped around them, binding hearts in unity. They were more than just a gathering, they had become a living testament of faith. Let us not fear the storm, Sarah said, her voice growing steadier, more determined. For it could very well be a messenger of God. Storms can cleanse, they can renew. As we wait here, let us remember his promises. A murmur of agreement rippled through the chapel, faces brightening with renewed courage. Old and young alike clutched each other's hands tighter. Together, they could weather any tempest. The flickering lanterns cast gentle shadows across their features, illustrating a portrait of resilience amid turmoil. Just as their confidence began to swell, a sudden crack of thunder roared overhead, rattling the windows. Gasps echoed in response, followed by a brief silence that felt holy, charged with expectancy. I've heard stories. Jeremiah's voice broke through, trembling yet electrifying. Stories of how storms bring about great miracles. They teach us to rely on him when we can do nothing on our own. With each word, he spoke not just to soothe but to ignite the ember of expectation. And indeed, as each villager contemplated his words, Sarah saw it. Flickers of joy bursting forth anew, bright and small like the embers of a freshly stoked fire. Then, one brave soul stepped forward. It was young Samuel, his face upturned as if he could feel the very heartbeat of heaven. Can we sing? He asked, a glimmer of innocence in his eyes. Songs remind us of his goodness. Why, yes. Let us sing. Sarah smiled, her heart swelling at his suggestion. As their voices rose in harmonies, blending together into a powerful song of worship, the storm stirred outside. It howled and raged, but their praises cut through its wildness like a beacon of light. With each note, they emerged from uncertainty, stepping into a fuller understanding of God's presence among them. The chorus reached its peak, and in that moment, something extraordinary began to happen. The sounds of thunder grew distant, fading against the cacophony of their united faith. Suddenly, the chapel's air felt different, lighter, liberating. Then an extraordinary thing unfolded. From the very heart of the storm, a brilliant flash illuminated the sky, causing everyone to pause mid-verse. The villagers turned their faces toward the windows, eyes wide in awe, as they witnessed a phenomenon: a swirling, golden light descending toward them. What is that? Whispered Hannah, awe spilling from her lips. I think it's a sign. Thomas breathed, scarcely able to contain his excitement. God is revealing something in our midst. Tears of joy streamed down some faces, hearts swelling with newfound faith as they looked toward the golden glow. It spun like a dance of divine proclamation, each turn loud with promises that spoke of healing, hope, and an unshakable love. As the last notes of their song faded, the air buzzed with a palpable energy. The storm might still be outside, but here, faith had taken root, anchoring them against the chaos. Tension and fear began to dissolve like mist before sunrise. Sarah stepped forward, emboldened by the collective spirit. We must seek the heart of this revelation. What blessings are unfolding? What awaited them in the embrace of the swirling light? Would they find clarity among the chaos? They could feel it. This was just the beginning. The golden light pulsated softly, its warmth enveloping the chapel like a gentle embrace. Sarah stood mesmerized, feeling a surge of faith sweep through the villagers surrounding her. Faces once shadowed by worry now glowed with hope, eyes shimmering with anticipation. "What does it mean?" whispered Anna, her innocent curiosity stirring a collective yearning for understanding. "We must pray," Sarah replied. "Let our hearts align with His purpose. We are in the presence of something holy, something transformative." As the villagers bowed their heads, they formed a circle, hands clasped tightly. Sarah closed her eyes, breathing in the essence of the moment as if it would sustain them all. "Lord, reveal to us the meaning of this divine light," she prayed softly, "and let your will be made manifest among us." With each prayer, the golden light pulsed brighter, shifting into a rhythm that matched the steady beat of their hearts. The storm outside continued to roll and crash, but inside, a blanket of serenity unfolded. It was as if time stood still, each moment became a sacred experience, woven into the fabric of their faith. Suddenly, a voice rang out, clear and powerful. "Jeremiah again. I sense something unusual. I feel that each of us is being called to see our own portion of this light. Let us share what is revealed." The villagers nodded, an air of eagerness permeating the room. One by one, they spoke softly at first, then more fervently. "I see healing for those who are sick," cried Anna, her eyes sparkling with tears. "I feel a courage rising in the hearts of our young," boomed Jeremiah, clapping his hands together as encouragement flowed through him. "And for our future," chimed in Thomas, his voice quaking with passion. "There is hope, hope that will light the way for others." Sarah watched, her heart swelling with pride and gratitude. Each person brought forth gifts, promises flowing like sweet nectar from within. She couldn't help but marvel at how they transformed fear into an outpouring of faith. Just then, a gust of wind burst through the chapel door, sending a shiver through the crowd. The golden light flickered, casting shadows that danced on the walls. It created a shimmering illusion of angels, a reminder of their support in the unseen realms. Gasps filled the air, belief and awe mingled. "Look!" shouted Samuel, pointing eagerly at the entrance. "The light is inviting us. Shall we follow it?" Sarah's voice danced with excitement. They hadn't felt so alive. "Yes!" chorused the villagers, their spirits entwined, driven by an unseen force, beckoning them to step out of their haven and into a greater purpose. As they rose, the chapel door opened wider, surrendering to the energy flowing through them. It was not just a passage, it felt like an entry to a new chapter in their lives. Each step they took was a thread woven into the tapestry of faith, a reminder that they were called to be lights in the world. Clutching tightly to one another, they moved as one, drawn toward the swirling radiance outside. "What awaits us beyond this door?" Sarah pondered, facing the wind that swept through their souls, whispering promises of encounters yet to unfold. As if in answer, the light dimmed, an invitation hanging in the still air. What awaited them on the other side? Would they find miracles beyond their wildest dreams? Heartbeats synchronized, they stood on the threshold, ready to step into the divine mystery ahead. As the villagers stepped closer to the threshold, the golden light began to pulse again, revealing its divine glory. It felt alive, as if it were breathing along with them. Sarah looked around, the faces of her friends illuminated by the warm glow. Their expressions held a mixture of wonder and awe, as each heart beat a rhythm of hope. "Let us step boldly into the light," Jeremiah declared, breaking the stillness. His voice resonated with a conviction that echoed through their souls. With a deep breath, Sarah took a step forward, followed closely by her companions, each striding towards the unknown that lay beyond. The world outside was transformed. The storm had receded into whispers as soft as lullabies, leaving only a gentle breeze. Around them, the landscape was aglow as if touched by the very presence of heaven. Trees shimmered like gold, their leaves whispering secrets of the divine. The flowers released sweet fragrances, harmonizing with the songs of birds praising the Creator. "What is this place?" Anna breathed, eyes wide with wonder as she took in the beauty enfolding them. "It is a manifestation of God's love." Sarah responded, her voice unwavering. "We are meant to experience this and share it with others." The villagers stilled, allowing the beauty to penetrate their hearts. Then, like rivers breaking free from their banks, words flowed from them. They began to speak prophecies, each one echoing the light that shimmered above them. "I see a future where joy overflows," proclaimed Thomas, his voice trembling. "And a world healed of its wounds," declared a voice from the back of the crowd, sparking murmurs of agreement that as they shared, the golden light heightened, swirling about them like a soft, comforting embrace. It filled the air with an energy that grew stronger with each testimony of faith. Then, just when hearts were soaring, a tangible sense of urgency filled the air. Sarah felt it deep within her spirit. The very essence of the light trembled like a heartbeat. Was it warning them, or guiding them towards something greater? "I sense a call to action." Jeremiah's voice rang out like a clarion. "We cannot simply bask in this glory, we must carry it forward. There are those beyond this threshold who wait for our light." The villagers nodded, each heart beating as one. They knew the warmth they felt was not just for them, it was to be shared. With a newfound resolve, they clasped hands again. "Let us venture forth into the world," Sarah exclaimed, her voice charging the air with power. "Let our light shine in dark places, and let it warm the hearts of those who have lost their way." As they started to turn, Sarah's gaze was drawn toward an old tree, gnarled yet strong, its branches heavy with blossoms. A soft glow emanated from it, resonating with the same sacred light. She felt a tug at her heart, a whisper of purpose. "What is that?" she asked, stepping closer. It felt as though the tree itself was alive, speaking to her soul. As she reached out, the air thickened with anticipation. What did this tree hold? What message awaited her? The villagers gathered closely, their hearts ready for revelation, their spirits aflame with possibility. "Could it be a sign?" murmured Anna, her voice filled with wonder. "Is this where our next journey begins?" Thomas pondered, eyes reflecting a mixture of hope and trepidation. With every shared glance and unspoken thought, they prepared for the next chapter of their story. Sarah felt the light inside her flicker with excitement. Was this tree a gateway to something profound? "What blessings await us here?" she whispered, as expectations danced in the air, filled with infinite possibilities. Would they discover a divine message, or uncover a miracle hidden in its branches? One thing was certain: they were on the precipice of something extraordinary. As Sarah reached out to touch the ancient tree, a ripple of energy coursed through her fingers. It was a sensation unlike any other, a gentle warmth that enveloped her in a cocoon of love and assurance. The villagers held their breath, sensing the significance of the moment. The blossoms trembled lightly overhead as if responding to her touch. Suddenly, they burst open, revealing an ethereal glow from within. A flurry of soft petals swirled around them, illuminated by the divine light. Each petal carried a whisper, pieces of knowledge and grace that filled the air with the essence of joy. "Look!" cried Anna, her wide eyes reflecting the radiant light. "It's as if the tree is speaking to us." "I feel it too," murmured Jeremiah, the wonder in his voice matching his comrades'. "It's a message, but what do these petals say?" Sarah focused her gaze, and in that moment, the petals formed into words, almost shimmering before her eyes. They spelled out a profound truth: faith, love, hope. Each word delivered a weight of wisdom, echoing throughout their spirits. They nodded in understanding, recognizing the deep call to embody these virtues. "What does it mean for us?" Thomas asked, his forehead creased in thought. The air hung heavy with expectation. "I think," began Sarah, her heart racing, "it means we need to live these values actively. We must reach out in faith, shower others with love, and instill hope wherever we go." And then, like a child's laughter piercing through a heavy silence, the birds began to chirp a sweet melody, intertwining with the divine atmosphere. It was as if the entire creation joined in worship, welcoming their realization. Their hearts began to swell, sensing a collective purpose rising from deep within each villager. Let us go forth and be vessels of these blessings. Jeremiah's voice soared above the music. Let us not be mere spectators of this light, but let us carry it into our world, igniting flames of faith, love, and hope in those we encounter. As they stood before the tree, the glimmering aura seemed to pulse in rhythm with their hearts. Sarah felt a deep certainty wash over her. They were not just a village, they were a family bound by divine purpose. Each challenge they faced would only solidify their commitment to these three guiding principles. With a final glance at the tree, Sarah silently prayed, thanking God for this revelation. She felt invigorated as she sensed the path ahead full of promise and purpose. Together, we'll be beacons, she proclaimed. The villagers lifted their voices in unison, echoing her determination. Together, we will shine. As they turned to leave the enchanted space behind them, a soft breeze swirled around them, carrying the scent of blossoms and the warmth of the light. It felt like a gentle whisper from the Creator, urging them forward into the world that was waiting, longing for their blessings, but as they stepped down the path, a shadow flitted past the edge of their vision. Sarah paused, her breath catching in her throat. In that fleeting moment, she sensed an unseen presence lingering nearby. Wait! She called, her voice cutting through the excitement. Do you feel that? The villagers turned, uncertainty threading through their once eager faces. What lay beyond the light? Who or what awaited them on their journey? As they gathered close, a quiet anticipation hung in the air. A sense of mystery beckoned them forward, calling to their spirits with a promise of revelation. What awaits us next? Sarah whispered, her heart pounding with both trepidation and anticipation. Could this presence be a guardian? A challenge? The answers lingered just beyond their sights. The next chapter of their story was yet to unfold, filled with divine mysteries waiting to be uncovered. As the villagers stood at the edge of the path, a gentle rustling echoed through the trees, merging with the soft whispers of the breeze. Sarah could feel the anticipation thick within her chest. The golden light shimmered around them like a sacred cocoon, guiding their steps forward yet sending a shiver of mystery rushing down her spine. What do you sense, Sarah? Jeremiah asked, peering into the shadows with a mix of curiosity and caution. I don't know, Sarah admitted, but I feel it calling us. Whatever is out there, it's part of our journey and our blessings. The villagers, hearts united, shifted closer together, bound not only by fear but by collective courage. They took a deep breath, hands clasped tightly, ready to face whatever awaited them. This was their true test, a culmination of their faith, love, and hope. Stepping cautiously down the path, they found themselves within a grove. The atmosphere was thick with sacred tension, and silence, deep and reverent, enveloped them. Then suddenly, from the shadows, emerged a figure draped in light, an angel, radiant and extraordinary. His presence brought an overwhelming sense of peace, washing over each soul in attendance. Fear not, the angel spoke, his voice a rich melody. Your faith has brought you here, and you are chosen to receive the full weight of the blessings promised. Tears slipped from Sarah's eyes, the warmth of her gratitude flooding her heart. What must we do? She asked, her voice steady, her spirit ready. Each of you holds a gift, the angel declared, gesturing toward them. These gifts are not for yourselves alone, they are meant to be shared, to ignite faith, love, and hope around you. You must carry the light from this grove into the world, feeding the souls who are hungry for belief. Wow, deep within, each villager stirred, feeling the truth resonate within their hearts. The reality of their coming tasks hung thick in the air, but the angel's words burned brighter than any darkness they had ever known. Go forth to your homes, he continued, and tell others of the blessings you have received. But remember, as more join your circle, remain steadfast. Trials will come, but they, too, are part of the journey. Trials, Hannah whispered, causing a collective sigh of understanding to rise among them. Sarah felt that familiar tug, the challenge would shape them further. How do we hold on to our faith when faced with trials? Thomas asked, courage flickering but unwavering. The the angel smiled, a light radiating from within. You will hold the light of each other. Empower one another with your stories of transformation. It is in community that faith flourishes. A ripple of divine understanding passed through the villagers. They turned to face one another with eyes now aflame with purpose and hope to share their gifts, their stories, their hearts. Each person carried within them a spark waiting to ignite. And remember, the angel added, you are never alone. Your community binds you, your love nurtures you, and your faith lifts you. Will you bless us? Sarah asked, kneeling in reverence. The angel raised his hands, and a luminous light washed over them, each villager feeling warmth fill their very being, a baptism of spirit that felt like a promise made. In that sacred moment, the fear dissolved entirely, they were emboldened beyond measure, together they stood, ignited by the divine spirit. The angel faded slowly, leaving behind a lingering glow in the grove, a powerful reminder of what had truly unfolded. Energized, they turned back to the path ahead, a newfound intent pulsing within them. With steady steps, they walked hand in hand, their hearts lifted high. The world awaited them. Each journey would be a role in the divine orchestration, each blessing a piece of the grand mosaic of faith, love, and hope. We will carry the light, Sarah proclaimed, her voice ringing with conviction. Together, we will shine brighter than ever before. Their voices echoed in unity, declaring their mission. They stepped into the world, ready to touch lives and transform hearts, radiating the Spirit of God wherever they went, and so the village basked in newfound joy, and miracles unfolded everywhere they turned. Individuals they encountered felt the warmth of light seep through their shadows, igniting flickers of hope in those they had once deemed lost. Sarah smiled, tears of joy cascading down her cheeks. The blessings were not just for them, but for all who would come to believe the true gifts of faith expanding into eternity. Their story didn't end here. Instead, this was the birth of something monumental, a perpetual movement of love. And they would not stop until every heart found its way back into the embrace of divine grace. So, dear friends, what will you do? Will you carry your light beyond these words, into the world that so desperately needs it? This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now, to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and comment your reactions, your testimonies about how this story touched your heart, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. True servants of God know the importance of supporting this mission. Let us spread the light together.